Now, y'all, it rained during every single wedding ceremony. Some say that's good luck, but if the weather's dramatic during the final episode of Love is Blind, yeah, we're in for some good TV. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real recap and review for Netflix's Love is Blind Season 4. That's right, Episode 12, The Weddings. It's time, you guys. The moment we've all been waiting for. I mean, we kind of know what's going to happen with Kwame, right? Well, at least I thought I knew what was going to happen with Kwame. So speaking of my predictions, if you've missed any of those, I just dropped that video this week. You can find it in the description below or floating around at the top of the screen, along with my other recaps from previous weeks, because guys, the commentary and the comments, the conversation, it's been so fun to do that with you each and every week. But hey, the fun does not stop, because yes, I'm dropping my reaction to the live reunion this Sunday night. That's right, I'm on a hightail at home from church, watch it, record my reaction, and give it to you guys on that day if I can, because I cannot wait to watch it. And I know a fan is going to ask a question. It's going to be out of pocket and things are going to go crazy, hopefully. But today we're talking all about episode 12. A huge thank you to Netflix for giving me the chance to watch this early for review. And you guys know how we do recaps and reviews by now, right? Well, if you don't, time codes are down there below. But you'll be able to enjoy this if you haven't seen the episode yet, because the first half of this conversation is going to be spoiler free. Now, the bulk of this video is going to be spoiler heavy. So again, if you haven't watched this episode, if you haven't seen the finale yet, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap on that bell, and get loud down below in the comments, and then eventually come back, watch it, and we're going to talk all about spoilers, because now we know who says I do and who says nah. But let's begin with the spoiler-free discussion. So guys, after last week's episodes, we ended on a cliffhanger. Chelsea says, I do, and Kwame was, well, thinking about his future with Chelsea. So the officiant asks Kwame, do you want to marry her? And he, well, gives an answer that we'll talk about in the spoiler section of this review. But honestly, between that and all of the other ceremonies, I will tell you, this is one of the better finales of Love is Blind. I mean, it just encapsulates everything I've felt about this season, which is this. Season 4 is the best season of Love is Blind since the first. And I've been saying that for the past couple of weeks, and this episode just solidifies that for me in my mind. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, oh, these episodes are boring, but guys, we had to sit through season 2, okay? And season 3 even wasn't as great as season 4, so I'm happy that we've gotten the quality of reality TV show that we've gotten. I mean, everything from Jackie, Marshall, and Josh to, well, Micah and Kwame, and then you got, well, all the other drama with Zack and Bliss. So it's been so much fun to see the different narratives come to play, and then eventually they land it. I mean, they stick the landing with this episode. Now, when it comes to the pacing of episode 12, I felt like it breezed by, but not in a bad way. The pacing was actually really solid. There weren't many technical hiccups like they have had in the previous weeks, but I will say, you know, the music choices, again, I just don't like them. I don't like them. Luckily, they're a little bit more tame in this episode compared to the others, but for the most part, guys, this season proved to me that the soundtrack choices need to get better. I'm tired of it. I mean, it's so on the nose. Like, Kwame and Chelsea have a rift, and then the song comes in and the lyrics are, we had an argument. Yes, we did. And I'm like, dog, why do we need these songs? Just use a simple score, some instrumentals. So I hope they kind of stray from those really poor song choices in the future. And when it comes to the ceremonies themselves, I was genuinely shocked. Well, I was shocked with a couple of them. I swear to you, the first ceremony shocked me, and then I think it was the second or third ceremony that shocked me as well. My jaw was on the ground. I was really surprised at some of these decisions, and then some theatrics that were played up by a certain person that you all believe is here for the cameras. I'll leave that to your imagination, because again, this is the spoiler-free section. So overall, what would I even rate season 4 of Love is Blind? I'd give it a 4 out of 5. You know what? Heck yeah, let's go, because season 1 for me was a 5 out of 5 because of all the drama, and this was so new. But yeah, 4 out of 5 for me. This is the second best season of Love is Blind, and I am so happy we got what we got. But y'all, you guys are not here for spoiler-free discussions. You want me to open the vault. You want the commentary and all of my thoughts. Okay, so that means we got to transition now to the spoilers. And I know that you guys, listen, if you have not watched, please do not watch any further because this is, yeah, we're going in. Alrighty, so you've had your warning. Spoilers are ahead. Let's begin with a little recap. Who's with who, right? We have our engaged couples, of course, Brett and Tiffany, Micah and Paul, Kwame and Chelsea, Zack and Bliss. No, I was going to make a comment about Jackie and Marshall, but Marshall does actually appear this week. Yeah, we'll get there. Okay, let's begin with weddings, right? It's time for our ceremonies and all the theatrics and drama. So the very first ceremony, of course, lingering over from episode 11, is Chelsea and Kwame. So again, they kind of replay that moment where Chelsea says, I do. Rocky says, I do. And now they ask Kwame, do you? Well, guys, Kwame says, I do. Like, bro, that was not what your body language was saying. The words that came out of his mouth felt like they didn't compute with his head. You know what I mean? It's like he was just saying I do just to say I do. You know, that's the kind of vibe I got. I mean, everything leading up to this did not track with him saying I do, but I was shocked. My jaw was on the ground. In my predictions, I of course said Kwame would say no, so that's why I was equally as surprised. But honestly, I guess good for them. Chelsea is over the moon in this moment, of course. Kwame is not matching that energy. It is so interesting. They're dynamic together, guys. And y'all know what I'm going to say, right? Boy, I don't see them sticking together. I don't know. It just doesn't really work for me. Like my head, the math isn't mathing, is what I'm trying to say. Now, there were a couple of details about their wedding that I actually wrote down. And one of them is basically because I was an officiant, I noticed that the officiant here just didn't move out of the way during their kiss. Seriously, I've officiated a wedding, so I guess I can speak from firsthand experience. The minute you say I now pronounce you man and wife, so-and-so Kwame, you may kiss your bride, you gotta step to the side. Now, all those photos, that officiant's big old head is gonna be in there, and I can say big old head because my head is also big. So I didn't want to ruin their moment, I didn't want to ruin their photos, but none of the officiants moved out of the way. I'm like, do we not all have that bit of common sense? I don't know, but that's all I'll say about that. I will say afterwards, you know, before they of course transition to the next ceremony, they have their moments, as we know in Love is Blind, where they talk together and they're like, you my wife, you my husband, right? So we know that. However, Chelsea, she kind of lets out this laugh that's kind of sinister, you know, the moments right after the ceremony, and then they have that time one-on-one. It's very interesting. Again, I'm not necessarily convinced with these two. I mean, even their reception didn't look as fun as the others. I'm serious, y'all. That reception did not do it for me. But y'all, that's all I got for that section. So now we're going to move on to the second wedding. That's right, wedding number 2. That came right after Chelsea and Kwame. That's Micah and Paul. Here I was thinking they would save Micah and Paul for last because there would be some big drama there. I don't know, they're setting it up, right? Micah and Paul, they're next up, and whoo, oh my. So as they arrive to the wedding location, they do so individually, of course. So we hone in on Micah, and she is in her bridal suite. And guys, it's odd. Oh, it's odd, because you have Shelby still sort of planting those seeds of doubt in Micah's mind, and Micah's trying to be very happy on her wedding day. And I figure, okay, listen, there's no way Micah's gonna listen to her best friend. Like, come on. Like, at this point, I'm surprised Micah didn't tell Shelby to just zip it, you know? Zippy long stockings. So instead, I figure, all right, they're just going to play that up. It's going to be this big blow up. But no, they seem to kind of get along just fine in the bridal suite. I guess when alcohol gets involved, that's when Shelby kind of sheds her outer layer and shows that she's a snake. So then they kind of bounce back and forth between Paul, right, and Micah. But Paul with his groomsmen, I will say they kind of focused a little too much on Paul, even though the conversations weren't as interesting. Honestly, his conversation with his groomsmen was just boring TV. Micah's dad eventually kind of spices things up right after that long sequence, though, because he walks in, his name of course being Paul, with his wife, Micah's mother, and Micah's dad says something that was really petty. He looks at his daughter and he's like, you put us through a lot. I'm like, are you being sarcastic? Was that a slight against your daughter? I mean, I guess I get it because this entire experiment is over the top, but he didn't say like, we love you no matter what. He was like, you put us through a lot. Like, what did the cameras not capture? And then they kind of have this back and forth between both parties where Paul and Micah begin to express that they're uncertain. Micah is very uncertain off camera in her, one-on-one interview with the, producers. They do those off-camera interviews. And then Paul is saying straight up in his groom suite, is that what they call it? I don't know. The dog house, I don't know. But Paul is telling his guys, like, I don't actually know what I'm gonna say. And that was the moment where everything turned. The tables have turned, or I guess I should have said the turntables. That's a great quote. But yes, Paul is now not sure if he's going to say I do. And pay attention to this, you guys, because I think the producers did this on purpose in the way they edited their wedding ceremony and everything leading up to it. So Paul is uncertain. Micah is a little bit more uncertain than she was when she walked in. Both of them don't necessarily know what the heck they're going to say at the altar. So they get everyone in, then the bride walks in, and then all that, and okay, I want to know what they're going to say. And I know you guys want to know what they're going to say as well. So they look at each other. Officiant gives, a little bit of direction. They kind of say their vows a bit. And Micah, eventually, when she's asked by the officiant, Micah, do you take Paul to be your lawfully wedded husband through sickness and in health, for richer, for poorer, for TV or not for TV? And Micah pulls a wild card on us. It was like a reverse Uno. It was weird to me. She said, I'll give you the opportunity to answer first. You meaning Paul. And I'm like, girl. And the crowd seemed to be the same way, because everyone in the crowd was clutching their pearls and they were so distraught. But you know who was smiling? Shelby. But keep that in the back of your mind. We're going to revisit Shelby here. Micah tells Paul, I'm going to give you the chance to go first. So Paul kind of deliberates on it. The officiant then turns the tables and says, well, Paul, I guess we're going to go with you first. Do you take Micah? And Micah looking at Paul, Paul looking at Micah, then Paul says the thing I did not think he'd say, because I thought Micah was going to say no. Paul says, I don't think we can choose each other at this time. Homie, that is a long way to say nah. So Micah and Paul have a little spat at the altar, and Micah tells Paul, I knew you were going to say that. So she was playing chess, not checkers. If anything, she would have said yes, and she does admit this at the end of their segment, that she would have said yes if Paul said yes, because she felt like Paul was never really choosing her. He was just kind of comfortable in the moment. So, y'all, what the heck? What the heck? We've never seen this in Love is Blind, where the officiant asks one person, do you say yeah? And I've never heard that person say, actually, no, you go first. Because usually that's not a good sign. So Micah had her reservations. Now, as this is all transpiring and they have their little spat at the altar, well, who's smiling in the crowd? Someone in the bridal party. Oh, actually, two people, and you can probably guess who both of them are. That's right. As they're airing out each other's business on the altar, Micah storms out, and then we get a camera panning over to Shelby. She's laughing. She's laughing with one of her friends that's also one of Micah's best friends, but she's out there chuckling it up like Chuckles the Clown. Don't like it. Don't like it one bit. It was grimy to me. How you gonna laugh as your best friend just gets told no at the altar? What kind of best friend are you? But she's in this for selfish gain. She says, this is exactly how I wanted it to go. Are you out of your mind, Shelby? She was essentially hoping for Micah and Paul's downfall. What a terrible friend. And then Paul, of course, off camera, is asking questions like, did I make the wrong choice? But then he doesn't just ask that to himself. He goes and finds Micah and asks her that question. Homie, who's awake upstairs for you? Because you don't go and ask your now ex-fiancé, basically, did you make the right choice? You told her no at the altar. It don't matter. With all these questions at the end, did I make the right choice? Homie, you made the choice. And you just humiliated her in front of all of her friends. So, and family. So yeah, that was something else. And one more last note here. Apparently, Paul said in an off-camera interview that he felt the love wasn't reciprocated from Micah. That's interesting, and that's one thing that I do hope someone asks a question about in the live reunion. Hey, what went on when the cameras were off? What made you say that? Why did you feel the love wasn't reciprocated? Because you know what? Paul's going to give a reason, and you know Micah's going to try and clap back. But guys, I guess you were right. And I was wrong. I thought Micah'd say no. But you both, someone said in my comments in my predictions video that they both would say no. So I guess in a roundabout way that is true. Alrighty, so we're moving on from dramatic to thematic. I don't know if that's a proper transitional phrase there. But guys, Tiffany and Brett, yes, it's incredible. I'm not getting ahead of myself here, all right? Okay, alrighty. Let's just begin from the top. I thought they'd be last. They threw me a curveball. All right, Love is Blind producers, y'all didn't have to do that, but you did. I thought they would be last because why not end on a cheery note? I'm too much of an optimist. It's really sweet just to see how they both interacted individually before the ceremony, though. Brett says he has no reservations about Tiffany, and then Tiffany's mom walks in, I believe her name was Ella, and she says something that just melted my heart. And it's not some sort of monumental phrase. She just said, "Look at my baby." And I was so close to crying. Why was I so close to crying like twice? This was the first moment during their ceremony. It was so nice. So sweet. And then one moment came up that I thought would lead to some dramatics, actually, because apparently Brett never met Tiffany's dad. So he's now meeting her dad for the very first time on their wedding day. Oh boy, you got some cojones. Bro, I don't know. Man, Brett's got like, you know, a stomach of iron and steel. I would have been like so scared in that moment if I were Brett, of course. But Brett is cool, calm, and collected. Tiffany's dad is so nice. However, he's not like, hey, don't just like treat this lightly. Like, you better take care of my girl. So I loved it. They kind of hit it off a bit. It was just cool. They were talking about Jordans and stuff. It's kind of nice. Totally the opposite of Zack and Bliss's dad's interaction, but I digress. So Tiffany's dad gave Brett his blessing, and then this happens. We've never seen this before in Love is Blind history. Brett, his suit doesn't fit. Are you out of your ever-loving mind? Now, I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but whomever he went to get that suit, I can guarantee you will probably not be getting a lot of business after this season. Now, of course, we don't know the name of the tuxedo and suit shop, but are you kidding? So Brett's suit doesn't fit, he's throwing a fit, and then his brother's like, it ain't that big of a deal. But Brett is right in this instance, in my opinion. It's his day, and Brett says multiple times, this is probably one of the only days of my life that I can control and have everything happen as we plan it to happen. And his pants did not fit, so what does he do? He gets in a Chevy Silverado, supplied by Netflix, and they just go to a local tailor. Literally an hour and a half before their wedding. But God bless this lady, this tailor who got his pants and said, I'm going to make sure I do everything I can. And guess what? She did it all with 30 seconds. I mean, 30 minutes to spare. If it was 30 seconds, this would be on some Mission Impossible-ish. But, you know, I loved it. I thought that was cool. That was very dramatic. And that's all the drama you're going to get from this ceremony, because now it's time to go to the altar where the magic happens. I will say I noticed that Tiffany's dress changed, I think. It didn't look like the dress that she went and got fitted for, but I don't know if I'm seeing things properly or remembering properly, so let me know in the comments below. But guys, this was something else. However, Brett, Tiffany, they're not done with their surprises. Apparently Marshall shows up to the ceremony right before Brett's about to walk out, just to have a conversation, a quick little chit chat, and they must be good friends because I did not expect to see Marshall there. And when he showed up, I was like, what are the producers trying to do here? But it was actually kind of a nice conversation between two guys, you know, just two friends, just kind of chatting it up before one gets married and the other's contemplating and thinking about what the heck happened with Jackie. Ooh. So Brett's now at the altar, and Tiffany walks in. Him crying almost made me cry, not gonna lie. But I will say, the officiant almost ruined this ceremony for me. He wasn't all the way terrible, but this officiant was pretty bad with his delivery. I don't know. I didn't like it. It wasn't my cup of tea. I mean, if y'all love it, okay, fine. But it didn't really work for me. However, by the end, I think the officiant did a little bit of a better job. But y'all, what did they say? What was their answer? You can already tell by the look on my face. Brett and Tiffany say I do, and they're married. They did it. Heck yes, okay? I was rooting for them all season long. My number one couple says I do at the altar. Hallelujah. God is good, isn't he? So, yeah, they say yes, and they're on their way. Oh, yes. Tiffany had me cracking up before they ended up transitioning to the next ceremony, because she said to the cameras in an interview with Brett that we're going to the bridal suite, excuse us. Now, girl, that's how you know. I guess she is head over heels for this man. But their reception was awesome. It was so lit. It looked like it was so much fun. And I mean, that's the reception you want to be at. The other receptions were like, okay. But let me not get ahead of myself, because we got one more wedding ceremony to talk about, and I have the least amount of notes for it because it was a little disappointing. Bliss and Zack's wedding is officially here, y'all, and they're getting ready, and it's still raining. That's right. Rain was a main character this week. But Zack and Bliss, for me, didn't really have the most eventful wedding ceremony, and they tried to play it up that way, but it didn't necessarily work for me. I do appreciate the attention to detail by the officiant, because they were the only one to ask who presents this bride to this man, and we didn't hear that with any of the other officiants. But eventually they get up there, they have their vows. Zack says something along the lines of, oh gosh, what was it that he said? It's something out of the Notebook almost. He said, the moment I knew I loved you was when you left, or when I left you, or when I wasn't with you, or I lost you, or something like that. I guess it worked, because everyone in the crowd was crying. Bliss was tearing up. Zack was getting all emotional in his feels. So on and so forth. All that happens, and Zack says, I do. But what does Bliss say? Now remember, in my predictions, I said she would say no at the altar, then give her a reason at the altar and air out their laundry. Boy, was I wrong. Bliss also says I do, and that completely shocked me, because all season long when they got together, she was basically taking every moment she could to bring up the fact that she was second option to Zack. So I don't know, man. It kind of felt like they were maybe cherry picking those scenes to get us thinking and sway our predictions, but they both said I do, and they're married. So their first dance, of course, is apropos, because in the pods they talked about dancing to Leanne Womack's I Hope You Dance, and dance they did to that song. I've been saying dance a lot, but yeah, they were happy. And you know what? Good for them, because I'm not mad at it. Listen, Zack, does he have bad decision-making skills? Absolutely. He picked Irina, who was like the leader of Slytherin, and now he picked the right person, the one he should have picked out of the pods anyway. So, good for them. They're married. But guys, that concludes episode 12. Now, does that mean that's the end of Love is Blind Season 4? Absolutely not, because we have the live reunion and my reaction dropping on Sunday. So, I got a couple predictions I want to throw your way. You let me know if I'm off base. It feels uncanny that there were 3 married couples this season and only 2 last season. So for all intents and purposes, I gotta wonder how many are still together by the live reunion. So here are my predictions. My track record's not great with predictions, are they? But we're gonna try. So I think Brett and Tiffany are still together by the reunion. They're going to be the new Lauren and Cameron in terms of Love is Blind history. So I think finally Lauren and Cameron should accept this hosting gig for the next seasons, because it's about time that they took over the Lachey's. No disrespect to them, but it's time for Cameron and Lauren. But Brett and Tiffany will not be the only married couple together at the live reunion. I believe that Zack and Bliss will still be together and happily wed. Yeah, I think that they're going to not only be together, but they're going to be even more in love with one another. You guys were saying things like Zack and his scraggly looking beard looking like someone straight out of a failed audition for Castaway. That can't be the look of a man who's married still. However, I think it is. He's probably just comfortable, and you know, Bliss is like, do you? And they love each other. And I'm hoping they're still together, because if I'm wrong, I'm actually going to be kind of sad. So I do believe Zack and Bliss and Tiffany and Brett will be together still at this reunion. But Kwame and Chelsea? Absolutely not. I do not see them still together at the live reunion. If they are, I will be shocked, just like the rest of you. And yes, you can catch that reaction if it happens, and all of my reaction to the live reunion this Sunday, so you're not going to want to miss out. Hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel. Y'all, that concludes Season 4 up to this point. I am so thrilled with how this turned out, and I'm even more thrilled with your support and your love on each recap and review, so you can expect much more reality TV content just like this on the channel. And of course, all my movie reviews and reactions, news breakdowns, anything your heart desires, hopefully you'll find here on the channel. And if you're just here, say hi and say what's up. I appreciate your support as well. Go ahead and get loud down below in the comments and let me know which married couple made you the happiest in the finale, because I can't wait to hear you all say Brett and Tiffany, right? Alrighty, y'all. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening. That was great. I don't know how Kwame's gonna deal with Rocky.